Donna Vekić has just won a WTA 500 title without even originally being in the main draw. Music. After losing in the qualifying rounds at Queen's Club, she went to the practice courts in Roehampton expecting nothing more than a routine training session. Then her phone rang. Marta Kostyuk had withdrawn from the tournament, and Vekić was handed a second chance as a lucky loser. She didn't hesitate. She quickly returned, prepared herself, and stepped back into the draw with nothing to lose and everything to prove. What followed was an extraordinary run. Match after match, she built momentum, defeating 5 opponents in a row, including former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova, Britain's Katie Boulter, and Emma Raducanu in the final. The championship match ended in a commanding 6-0, 7-6 victory, sealing one of the most unexpected grass court title runs of her career. That triumph didn't just restore confidence, it completely changed her trajectory. Now Vekić arrives in Berlin, settling into the LTTC Rotweiss Club and preparing for another challenge on grass. But this time, there's no time to celebrate. Standing across the net is Alex Eala, the 21-year-old rising star from the Philippines, who has already defeated her in both of their previous meetings. If anything, that history makes this encounter even more dangerous. Nothing about this matchup is simple, and both players enter with momentum, pressure, and expectations building around them. To set the stage, the Berlin Tennis Open, sponsored by Vondo Pharmaceuticals, is a WTA 500 event held from June 15 through June 21 on the traditional grass courts of LTTC Rotweiss in Berlin, one of Germany's most historic tennis venues. The tournament has drawn a stacked field, with elite players from across the tour. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka headlines the draw as the top seed, with Elena Rybakina leading the field as the second seed. Alongside them are multiple Grand Slam champions and top 10 contenders, making this one of the most competitive pre-Wimbledon events of the season. And with that level of competition, every first-round match carries real weight, especially one like this, where form, history, and momentum all collide. They are joined by Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff, Alina Svitolina, and Karolina Muchova, along with several other top-ranked players, making this feel like much more than just a standard warm-up event. Music. It is the final major opportunity for players to fine-tune their games before Wimbledon, and the world's best are treating it with that same level of seriousness and urgency. Into this highly competitive field steps Alex Eala as a wildcard entry, while Donna Vekić enters the main draw directly after her remarkable title run. Music. The draw has already delivered one of the most intriguing first-round matchups of the tournament, pairing these two players against each other. Their showdown is scheduled for Monday, June 15, and it sets up an early but high-pressure test between two athletes arriving in Berlin with very different journeys, yet both carrying real momentum. For viewers in the Americas, the Berlin Tennis Open will be broadcast on Tennis Channel, available through both cable and streaming platforms. Fans outside the United States can check the WTA's official broadcast guide for regional television and streaming partners. The WTA also provides selected coverage through its digital platforms for registered members. Music. The important takeaway is that every main draw match in Berlin will be shown live or streamed. As a WTA 500 event, the tournament is produced with full broadcast coverage, ensuring fans around the world can follow every match without difficulty. Now turning to the match itself, because the storylines behind this first-round encounter go far deeper than rankings alone can explain. Donna Vekić arrived at Queen's Club under pressure and uncertainty. Ranked outside the top 70, her season had been sliding, and the results weren't reflecting the level she once showed at her peak. A year earlier, she had reached a career high inside the top 20, backed by a Wimbledon semi-final run and an Olympic silver medal, but recent months had been far more difficult. Then came another setback when she lost in qualifying at Queen's Club. Music. For a moment, it looked like another early exit in a frustrating season. But everything changed when a lucky loser spot opened up unexpectedly. She got the call, returned quickly, and re-entered the tournament with a second chance. From there, her tournament completely transformed. Her serve became a dominant weapon, her confidence returned point by point, and she began playing with a level of freedom that had been missing for months. Match after match, she built momentum until she produced a stunning run that carried her all the way to the title. By the end of it, Vekić wasn't just winning, she was controlling matches with authority again, rediscovering the aggressive, clean ball striking that once made her a top 20 contender. And now, just days later, she arrives in Berlin with renewed belief. Standing across the net is Alex Eala, a rising wildcard who has already proven she can trouble higher-ranked opponents. Their history adds another layer. Eala has won both of their previous meetings, which makes this opening round clash even more compelling. It's not just a matchup between two players, it's a collision between momentum, pressure, and unfinished business. Ranked number 76 in the world, it was a position that reflected a season that had steadily slipped away from her form and expectations. Music, just over a year earlier, she had climbed as high as world number 17 after an impressive stretch that included a Wimbledon semi-final appearance and an Olympic silver medal, confirming her status as one of the most dangerous players on tour. But much of 2026 told a very different story, marked by inconsistency, early exits, and a noticeable drop in confidence. That struggle, Music, appeared to reach another low point when she lost in the qualifying rounds at Queen's Club to Anna Blinkova. Music, for a player who had stood on the Olympic stage in Paris and pushed Jing Qinwen for the gold medal, falling in qualifying was a stark reminder of how quickly momentum can disappear in professional tennis. Then everything changed. A lucky loser spot unexpectedly opened in the main draw, and Vekic immediately rushed back to the club for a second chance. Music, there was no time to overthink, just a sudden opportunity to reset her tournament and possibly her season. From that moment, something clicked. Her serve, once again, became one of the most powerful weapons on court, reaching speeds of 109 miles per hour during her semi-final victory over Katie Boulter. Music, even more striking, she won 100% of her first serve attack points in that match and dropped only 6 points on serve throughout the entire encounter, an almost flawless performance under pressure. She carried that surge of confidence straight into the final, where she overwhelmed Emma Raducanu by taking the first set 6-0 before closing out a straight sets win. Music, Vekic looked completely transformed, moving with renewed belief, reading the court sharply, and striking the ball with the clean, flat precision that had once carried her to a Wimbledon semi-final 2 years earlier. After months of searching for rhythm and results, she suddenly re-emerged as a genuine con. 5 matches in 6 days later, Vekic was standing with yet another trophy held high above her head. It was her first title since winning Monterrey in 2023, the 5th championship of her career, and her first ever WTA 500 crown. Music, that run didn't just add silverware, it completely reshaped the narrative around her season. The version of Vekic arriving in Berlin is no longer just the world number 76 in the rankings. Music, she comes in as a newly crowned grasscourt champion, riding a 5-match winning streak and carrying the kind of confidence that only a title run can bring. Just as importantly, she knows this surface has always brought out her best tennis. Over the years, she has consistently produced strong results on grass, winning Nottingham in 2017, reaching the Wimbledon semifinals in 2024, finishing runner-up in Bad Homburg later that same season, and now adding a Queen's Club title to her resume. Music, Vekic has often spoken about grass as her most natural surface, and her game explains why. The lower bounce, faster conditions, shorter rallies, a powerful first serve, and flat ground strokes all become even more dangerous in these environments. Music, when she is in rhythm on grass, she plays like a top 20 player regardless of what her ranking says. But this is exactly where the matchup becomes so compelling. Standing across the net is Alex Eala, a player who has already beaten Vekic twice, and neither victory can be written off as a coincidence. Music, Eala has shown she understands how to disrupt Vekic's rhythm and take control of rallies in ways that force errors and break timing. Their first meeting came earlier this season at the ASB Classic in Auckland, where the young Filipina made an early statement that she could not only compete with established names on the WTA Tour, but beat them. It was the opening round of Alex Eala's 2026 season. Donna Vekić took the first set 6-4 and, for a stretch, looked firmly in control of the match. Music, her serve was landing cleanly, her first strike tennis was dictating rallies, and it seemed like she was set to close it out in straight sets. But Eala gradually worked her way back into the contest. She took the second set 6-4, shifting the momentum with steady, disciplined point construction, and then carried that control into the decider, sealing it 6-4 as well. Music, the scoreline told a deeper story, not one of domination, but of patience, mental resilience, and gradual problem-solving under pressure. Eala didn't overpower Vekic outright. Instead, she chipped away point by point, extending rallies, absorbing pace, and forcing the match into longer, more physically and mentally demanding exchanges. Over time, the pressure built until the balance of the match eventually shifted in her favor. Just 2 days later at the Cunning Classic, an exhibition event still played at a competitive level, the two met again. Music, and this time, the result came more comfortably for Eala, 6-3, 6-4. 2 matches, 2 victories for the young Filipina. In both encounters, the tactical pattern was remarkably consistent. Eala's return game repeatedly disrupted Vekic's serve rhythm, preventing her from establishing the clean, free-flowing patterns she depends on to dominate matches. Without that first strike control, Vekic was often pushed into longer rallies where she had less control over tempo. From the baseline, Eala's ability to redirect pace also stood out. Instead of matching power for power, she used Vekic's aggression against her, absorbing heavy shots and sending them back with precision and angle variation, turning offensive patterns into more neutral or even defensive situations for her opponent. As a left-handed player, Eala adds another layer of difficulty that many opponents rarely face consistently. Her forehand cross-court naturally pulls right-handed players wide on the backhand side, while her serve creates awkward body angles and unexpected movement off the bounce. Music, these are not just tactical observations on paper, they have already proven effective specifically against Vekic, shaping both of their previous meetings and setting the stage for an even more intriguing rematch in Berlin. And now Eala arrives in Berlin carrying her own momentum, confident that this matchup has patterns she has already learned how to exploit. Music, she captured the Birmingham Open title on June 7, defeating Nikola Bardakova 5-7, 6-3, 7-5 in a final where she had to fight back from a set down. Music, it marked her second WTA 125 title and her first on grass, reinforcing the idea that her game is becoming increasingly comfortable on faster surfaces. Her grass court record now stands at 15-8, a 65% win rate, an impressive return for a player who only made her professional grass debut in 2024. Music, that progress reflects not just results, but adaptation, better movement on low bounce, improved serve consistency, and more confidence in shorter, high-pressure points. Before Birmingham, Eala also showed she is no longer limited to fast courts. At the Italian Open, she recorded notable wins over Magdalena Frech and Wang Xinyu to reach the third round of a WTA 1000 event on clay, proving she can now translate her game across slower conditions as well. Music, earlier at Miami in 2025, she produced some of the biggest wins of her career by defeating Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek back-to-back. At her best, Eala is the kind of player who can trouble anyone on any surface, on any given day, regardless of ranking or reputation. But the most important part of her recent form comes from what followed Birmingham. Eala arrived at Queen's Club and ran into Vekic in the second round, where she suffered a convincing 6-2, 6-2 defeat. Music, it was the same opponent who had also beaten her 6-4, 6-2 at Roland Garros just weeks earlier. Two straight losses in quick succession pointed toward a developing tactical issue rather than a one-off bad day. In both matches, Vekic's serving pattern stood out, particularly her ability to land a high first serve percentage, reaching around 81% in one of those encounters. That consistency allowed her to control points early, prevent Eala from settling into return games, and avoid the extended rallies where Eala is most dangerous. Taken together, these results highlight a clear tension heading into Berlin. Eala has shown she can beat Vekic, but Vekic has also recently found ways to shut down her rhythm quite decisively. Combined with relentless depth and precision, Eala has often been able to suffocate opponents' rhythm and prevent them from playing on their own terms. In those earlier encounters, however, she was pushed into a very different role. Instead of dictating play, she spent long stretches reacting, struggling to impose her patterns, unable to consistently take control of rallies from the baseline, and forced into uncomfortable defensive positions. That contrast is what makes the Berlin matchup so significant. The question heading into this encounter is simple, but decisive: which version of Alex Eala will actually show up? Music, is it the fearless, aggressive problem solver who has already proven she can beat top-level opponents on big stages, or the more hesitant competitor who has recently been neutralized by consistent, heavy-hitting players? Is it the Birmingham champion who fought back from a set-down in a high-pressure final, or the player who managed just 4 games in a difficult loss at Queen's Club? That distinction matters enormously in this matchup, because Donna Vekić, especially in her current form, brings a style that shares some similarities with the type of aggressive pressure Eala has recently struggled against. Music, fresh off a title run and striking the ball with renewed confidence, Vekic can apply early pressure with powerful serving and first strike baseline hitting that doesn't allow opponents much time to settle. If Eala begins the match passively, giving Vekic rhythm and early control, the momentum can shift quickly, just as it did in some of her recent defeats. A player in form like Vekic will not hesitate to take full advantage of short balls, second serves, or neutral exchanges. However, there is a crucial tactical difference that keeps this matchup finely balanced. Unlike pure counterpunchers who rely only on consistency and retrieval, Vekic is not built to absorb sustained, heavy pressure over long exchanges. Her game is based on timing, first strike aggression, and controlling points early. When forced into extended rallies where she is repeatedly moved side to side and made to defend from uncomfortable positions, her footwork can become less fluid, and her shot selection can become more predictable. That is precisely the opening Eala has exploited in their previous encounters. In Auckland, once Eala extended rallies and redirected pace consistently, she gradually disrupted Vekic's rhythm and forced errors at key moments. Instead of allowing Vekic to dictate from the first shot, she shifted the match into longer patterns where patience and variation mattered more than raw power. The same underlying tactical battle is expected again in Berlin. If Eala can withstand the early surge, neutralize the serve, and drag Vekic into longer exchanges, she has already shown she can turn the match in her favor. But if she fails to do that, if she allows Vekic to control tempo from the start, then the match can swing quickly in the opposite direction. Everything, ultimately, comes down to execution under pressure in the first set. When Eala was able to consistently